3, 4. Welcome back to Bass Bites. I am Ann Luna, and today we have a less than ideal bass here. It's we'll get some close-ups here in a minute. It's had a lot of work done to it. It's had some pretty major breaks in it, and it is in the process of being set up a little bit better. So, what do you do when somebody hands you a bass and the setup is not ideal, or it's not what you're used to? Let's say you're lucky enough to have a bass that's set up well, or you just don't know it right. You, as bass players, sometimes there's the bass, right? Like the house bass, or you're traveling and that's just what's available. And so here's some survival tips that I have found, that so you don't kill yourself and don't just shred your fingers, even though I've done that a few times. And hopefully to make your playing experience a little better. So first off, this bass is just setting on the ground. I don't have the end pin out at all. And sometimes you don't have an end pin that's adjustable, and sometimes you're just stuck with whatever height the bass is at. So if I'm just playing here, and this is open strings, my hand naturally wants to fall. You know, I've got a curve in my elbow, and this feels comfortable, right? So about here, which is where I see a lot of people play. If this bass does not have the most ideal setup, or we're just checking any bass, truthfully, one of the first things you can do is just see where you get volume and tone that you like. So if I'm just on this open G and D, and I'll mute so you can hear things better. So down here, if I want a brighter, punchier sound, let's say I'm in a jam situation, or I'm not mic'd or something, and if I want to be heard a little bit more, I might want to be playing down here. If I don't have the end pin out, you can see that I'm having to bend over. And then if I'm just comfortable, and I'm going to be there. So that's the first thing to check is, do I like where my hand is falling? Okay. So for me, I don't, because I want a little bit of a louder sound. So I'm going to take the end pin out. Okay. For this bass to actually pull the end pin out, for me, I had to go get a pair of pliers to pull it out after it was loose enough. So maybe having a pair of pliers around is not a bad idea. So, but now I've got the bass where I like it, and I play with the bass a little higher than a lot of folks do or prefer. So it's a personal preference thing. I've described why I do this, but yeah, this is about even with my head. But the main thing is I like this sound. For most basses and for the type of music that I'm playing, and my hand fits, or my hand falls more naturally at the end of this fingerboard if I raise my bass up. And the first position that I play in is right in line with my eyes. So let me back out so you can see that. So you can see I've got the end pin out. The bottom of the headstock is even-ish with the top of my head. So that's kind of survival tip number one, is where can your hand fall nicely on the bass? Some basses do not have an adjustable end pin. My first upright was an older K, and it just had a wooden end pin with a rubber foot on it. And so if I wore like high heels or boots and had something taller, then I just had a different size end pin that I would take and stick in there, like a stick or like a little piece of PVC. So if that's one way to do it, if you don't install an adjustable end pin. So, or you can prop it up on books or things if you need to. So, you make do with what you have. Okay, survival tip number 2 is looking at the edge of your fingerboard that's closest to you. Many bases, including this one, have a pretty sharp edge where that I feel like I could kind of cut my thumb there if I ran it there, was sliding up and down, or was pulling for hours of playing. So what you can do is take a little bit of sandpaper. This is assuming it's your base or one that you have permission to make alterations to, and you can sand that edge down a little bit if you need to. Okay, this is to show you this kind of sharp edge here where your thumb is because I like to wedge my thumb back here quite a bit, and sometimes it's on the edge if I'm reaching for these top strings, but this is the edge that can be really sharp and that you can sand down if you need to. Here's another angle looking at that edge and how my thumb gets wedged way back there especially when I'm playing loud and fast. And then but you can see that sometimes my thumb is on the edge here. Sometimes it's really wedged under there. And sometimes when I'm on the C string, I'll let it come off completely.